kind of a weird moment where people are really ignoring personal boundaries in terms of inserting themselves and vocalizing and pushing their own perspectives, and also pushing their perceived shared perspectives, so that it's pushing down the individual voice of like, hey, I might, there's no, you can't disagree, there's no like openness for discourse, and that really is like a suffocating feeling. And that also holds true with the dynamic of the handler, or the person who really wants to assert full control in your life. So just a real quick video to kind of go over like what that is, that dynamic. Most importantly, how to handle the handlers in your life, how to recognize them and kind of address it. So that idea of an animal handler, you usually see them like a handler for tigers and lions or snakes, right? These powerful creatures. And then you have these public figures and celebrities. They too have handlers. And it's said in this kind of like roundabout, like normal way, but it's kind of not okay if you think about it. So you have this dynamic here where you have this powerful creature that needs to be tamed or controlled. And that's what I want to talk about, is identifying that this is becoming more prevalent, where there's people that prop themselves up as handlers in our lives, and reestablish our own discernment to be able to identify those people, to be able to reassess our own boundaries and limits and make those clear to those people, so that we can clear out that handler energy that's kind of suffocating our decision-making freedom, our could be actually intentionally sabotaging opportunities or gatekeeping us from others, or even trying to manage your reputation, your outlook, and kind of also control your mind by being that one step away, that one step that you have away from interacting with other people directly, because they become such an essential cog in the wheel. Like, they insert themselves into your day-to-day so much that you become less and less in contact with anything that impacts you, because this person has asserted themselves as the manager of you. It's not so much just the major public figure or political, celebrity or whatever who has this handler dynamic going on, although that's where it's gotten really bad with conservatorships and things like that, where you see these people or these personal doctors who have control over the medication that they're doling out to a person. And there was that, I think there was a movie about was that the guy from the Beach Boys? I think so. Or, yeah, Brian Wilson, I think. There's that movie where Michael Cusack, what is his name? Cusack. Something Cusack. It's a really good movie. It's him as an adult, and he's got this handler, his manager or whatnot, who's kind of like manages his estate and things, because he's gone crazy and he's got a mental illness. And he meets this woman when he's out buying a car, and she's like trying to have a relationship with him, perfectly innocent, but then this guy is like wedging himself and inserting himself from the very beginning, and you can just see kind of how it just spirals out of control. But this is what happens when you allow this control type dynamic, this person without boundaries, to set their flagpole up in your life. And sometimes it's not even like I assigned you that role. And so that's why I wanted to kind of bring it up, because again, this is happening in like day-to-day lives. You could have handlers in your personal life that you haven't necessarily checked and assessed. And it's really important right now in this time where people are really trying to speak for you, trying to think for you, make decisions for you, or like be that gatekeeper or sabotage in whatever way they can, because they strategically insert themselves in your life. And for you to be unaware of it is kind of dangerous. So I'm not talking about like minors, of course. If you're a kid and it's like a guardian dynamic, that's not what we're talking about, unless of course they're exhibiting some really dangerous behaviors like this, like over the top. Surely find someone who's removed from that situation, who is not displaying those toxic behaviors, and seek help that way for a minor, but I'm talking about adult to adult dynamics. So yeah. Traits to look for, like, in these people. And this could be down to friends, siblings, a relative, family member. That could be your parent. It could be, your colleague. It could be a business partner. It could be whoever. Someone who has become so trusted that you have allowed them to start giving you advice, for example. And now they feel empowered by the fact that you've taken their advice a time or two. So then the boundary overstep starts to happen when they start to become offended if you don't consult with them before making a decision. So that's a red flag of someone who's trying to be a handler in your life, right? Because they're like, why didn't you check with me first? Because then they want to sway you towards whatever it may be that they want to do in order to manage your life. And these things can start off perfectly innocent. Like I said, it starts to become a manifestation of whatever the other person's psychology is. But it's our job to discern this, where we've started to kind of relinquish our authority in asserting boundaries with certain people. And sometimes, like I said, if it's like a work dynamic too, you can see these kinds of traits with someone who tries to go and insert themselves in relationships that you're making, or you're over here and you talk to so-and-so, and then you see them run over here and try to jump ahead of that and talk to the person before you can, or to try and still control something in some measure from where they sit. The effectiveness of these behaviors always comes down to the individuals that they're interacting with, right? Because just because a person tries, it doesn't mean that they're going to succeed. But the thing is to recognize these kinds of behaviors of the people that try to handle your life or become a handler in your life. But the interesting thing is when it becomes like a friend, or like a relative. And it's tricky because it's very subtle, and sometimes you wouldn't expect it, right? Of course you're not going to expect it, because this is someone you trust. Like if you're seeking advice from someone, it's important to kind of look for those signs again. Are they angered when I don't go to them first? Or do they try to speak for me? If I have an issue, do they want to go and be the vocal person to speak for me to other people? If I have something I want to say to another person over there, and I'm like, oh, I want to tell them such and such, and they're like, oh no, don't take, I'll tell them, or I'll do it. You need to check, you need to make sure that the message is getting to the other person, especially as you intended it, because you need to be you need to be your mouthpiece. Someone else is not responsible for, if you give them too much leeway in that, they can run with it. Same thing like if an opportunity comes up, because the issue is when this person asserts themselves as like the handler, and it's the nefarious kind, they want power over the power of this powerful thing, right? And so that can turn to envy, toxicity in different ways. And it's kind of like the idea of, I can control your life without you knowing it. You've given me this power, ha ha ha. Now I can sabotage things for you, or I can, gatekeep opportunities. It's like I was saying, if all of your inquiries or your opportunities are coming through this person, and they get to make that decision, yes or no, they get power from that designation, right? And so they know in their mind, oh, this is coming. And someone says, hey, tell so-and-so this. You don't know that person's going to deliver that message, because if it means, say, moving away from them, are they going to deliver it? It's not in their best interest. So they might steer you towards this other opportunity, and you'll never know that something else came your way. Or, just any number of things. Make sure that people know that they are not going to be your sole arbiter in decision making and other things in life, just because that awareness, letting them know that you see them, is a huge thing. Put a link to that movie, the preview, because I think that just says it perfectly, like how this can spin out of control. But it's been on my mind recently because a lot of times these innocent dynamics, they go unseen, and then it just festers and it becomes this bigger thing. But right now, especially for people who are kind of maybe on the quieter side, they're not asserting themselves, and then you have these like charming, chatty people that want to come in and be like, oh, don't worry, I'll take care of that, or I can do this for you, or whatever, or they want to put themselves as that like essential linchpin in your life, and you're not aware of the fact that these people have their own agendas, and a lot of times if it's fueled by some sort of inner hate or animosity that you had no idea of, they could actually be blocking you. And it's important to recognize that and to handle it. And how do you handle a handler? These people want to know every little bit of details about you, right? So it's important to like cut off that funnel of information. Don't tell them everything that you're thinking or planning. Don't tell them who you're planning on interacting with. If you're gonna set up a meeting or whatever, just find another way to do that, or bring other people into the loop to help you if you are, a public figure or whatnot. It's interesting, like the dynamic, without getting political, the dynamic with like Elon Musk and Donald Trump, like people could, like easily see where if they don't have a healthy boundary relationship, Musk could end up being a handler for Trump, right? Because it's just like, you're supposed to be at the helm, but if you leave all your decisions to this person, you need to make sure that their agenda is aligned with yours. Right now I think they're very aligned and they're doing what they want to do, what they need to do, but it's those kind of dynamics. Even the wife to the husband, Melania and Trump, like she's in a prime position. Whoever's in your ear all the time, it's another sign. Like anybody's in your ear too much or in your business too much, asking too many questions, close off the drain for a while and see what happens if they start to get angry, if they start to, like go around to other people to try and get information. Another thing that's important is to maybe send out some red herrings, like misinformation drips to them to see if they try to spread stuff that's not true. That's like only in extreme cases. But the main thing is to like keep things to yourself, your moves that you're making, take initiative on your own, take actions, because if again, they're the ones who want to control and be the arbiter of your decisions, what can and cannot get to you opportunity-wise, you need to make moves outside of that and find other people that you can reach out to for help besides that one person. Because if they're ultimately, their goal is to block you, well, acting like they're your helper, it's going to be driven by your own initiative to identify it, to assert your boundaries, and then to move around them. Ultimately, you might have to separate from them, even if it's a friend. Then it's just like they're not going to tell you, hey, so-and-so sent me a note that they wanted me to pass on to you, and I chewed it up and spit it out because I would never want to lose you to that person. They're not going to tell you that. So you have to kind of just like witness through their actions, things that they say that might be kind of red flags that, hey, this person might have kind of an unhealthy attachment to me, that might be hindering me from connecting with other people, from making certain moves, from taking advantage of certain opportunities. And in that case, it's on me to assert a boundary, just so I'm not to be handled. So I think that's kind of random, but I feel like super important. Definitely is something that I've had to like check in, reassess, and move things around in my life because of this. But I just thought that if anyone else is dealing with that, kind of good food for thought. And also recognize that in our celebrities, in our political arena and sphere, where these people are kind of like mouthpieces for others, like always go to the source, check the actions and the behaviors of people. Don't just be like a mockingbird of headlines in the news. Look deeper. This is a time where like the world, society, and these hive minds are trying to be handlers of us too, telling us how to think, how to feel. Like, and if you agree with one thing that one person says, then they want to tell everybody else how you think and how you feel. But no, always like look for people who value coming straight to the source. Look for people who don't believe, the rumor mill, the gossip mill. Look for people who will vouch for you when you're not in the room. Those are the people to pull closer into your orbit. Push out the other people that want to like insert themselves to be meddlesome. good luck out there. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.